I did the 420 smoke break back in the day, and I'd try to play these 15-minute jams from Dave Matthews Band, or Fish and program directors. You're not going to do that, are you? That whole thing, And another time, I had come into the studio to do an interview with Dennis Miller, and he was in the studio waiting for me. I guess he'd gotten there a little early, which is odd. And I came in like a minute late, and my first song was playing. It was always Night Flight by the Zeppelin, and he was in there waiting for me to come in, and it had started, and or else I'd left the bat to go to do something, probably to fire up, and then come back. And he was in there waiting for me, and I walked in and I said, "Dennis, how's it going?" And he said, "Where do you get off? Where do you?" And I didn't know if he was kidding or serious. It was really, really weird. And I was like, I don't know what he means. I just don't know what he means. And then, and it's okay. And you get a Night Flight ends, Zeppelin, you go on and do the, turn on the mics, and then he goes right into his showbiz act, the big words and the funny, analyzations that he does. And it was great, but it was that one moment that was the weirdest moment. And then, the other weird thing, and these are all things that pop into your head. There's a billion that I can't remember, but these are the ones that pop into your head. So that must make them the greatest, if they're the ones that you remember. And Edie Brickell of the New Bohemians, "What I Am Is What I," it's a good song and a nice little guitar in that. And she married Paul Simon. Don't know if they're still married, probably not. And they had come by to do a show at a hotel. I forget where the show was, but we gone to watch. I think it was the Raleigh Pier, honestly, and in Mission Valley, and they did a show there, and then they had a meetup, I guess, at some hotel in a banquet room, and a bunch of record geeks and radio people, a bunch of ticket winners and contest winners, all that kind of stuff showed up, and Edie Brickell was there, and she's very pretty and really short, and everybody watched her and everybody talked to her, and it occurred to me when I walked out of that event, she didn't say one word. Not a single word. Didn't say one single word. I watched her. All she did was nod her head for 2 hours, and that's it. And that was the end of the day. Really weird. Didn't want to play the game or talk to people. Didn't care. But to me, and this happened 8 times probably in the course of 22 years at WRDU. And it was this comedian, Jeff Dunham, and he would come by and he would bring Walter or his puppets, or maybe he has other ones, I don't know, and he's this big guy, and he sold out shows all weekend at the comedy club at Charlie Goodnight's, and he'd come by with his puppet. And how's a puppet going to work on a radio? 8 times he'd come by and he talked like Walter, Walter is angry, and I couldn't laugh because it wasn't funny, and nice person, and none of the jokes were funny, and to this day I still don't get Jeff Dunham, and to this day I see him doing HBO specials and these television specials with packed houses, concert halls, sometimes even stadiums. Jeff Dunham is doing these things. And for all of my, let's say, 22 to 30 years in radio broadcasting, the most awkward, weirdest moments of all time were the 8 times Jeff Dunham came by to do. And it was like Steve Reynolds always said, and he would always say this when he'd had people on the air that didn't quite do, whatever, and he'd say, "Gosh, so little to talk about, so much time." Okay, thanks, Jeff.